el exec, el exec. El Vélez, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 179 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Avalez Wasan. All right. So a little housekeeping. I'm going on hiatus after this episode a little bit. Got to take care of some personal things. So had to get this out there for you guys one time before I got away, cover the first F1 race, cover NASCAR at Las Vegas, give you my NCAA tournament predictions even before it starts, because it starts tonight or tomorrow. We got to talk about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins getting a contract from the Bengals, and they retain him, but at the detriment of probably their roster building. Shohei and the Dodgers start the season off in Japan, 2-0. The two Japanese pitchers pitched, did pretty well. So we'll talk about that. And we have Big 12 Combine going on right now. The only real numbers we got is that we have Big 12 Combine, but not only a Big 12 Pro Day, but also different Pro Days happening. Not all the numbers are out yet. It's early in the day, so the only thing we got is that Jalen Milroe ran a 4.37, so we knew that he was going to be fast. That's pretty fast as a quarterback. But other than that, that's about it for now. So let's get to it. So Lando, Formula One, crazy race at Melbourne at Albert Park. Rainy. It was not raining in practice, not raining in qualifying. Qualifying was an interesting experience, but it was Lando, Piastri, Verstappen, 1, 2, 3. Ferrari looks like they are the fourth team that's the fastest right now. Mercedes is still faster than them. They have to figure it out a little bit with their package. Verstappen is still very much fast, doesn't have the same car that he did last year, but he's still very much Verstappen. Lando is clearly the best of the field along with Oscar, but the race was so crazy even before the lights went out in the formation lap. You had the best rookie qualifier in 11th, Isaac Hadjar, the rookie for Racing Bulls. He crashed. He had a torque steer that caught him in the middle of a corner, trying to accelerate to get close to the next car before they got to the grid. And he bent it in the wall, broke his rear suspension, broke his rear wing. So even before the race started, we have people in the wall. So Hadjar doesn't make it to the formation lap, through the formation lap. Then you had Carlos Sainz crash on a torque steer as well. Fernando Alonso later in the race, he crashed. Bortoleto, the rookie, he crashed. The only rookie to make it through the race was Kimi Antonelli. He finished 5th. How did he finish 5th? Because it was very unpredictable when the rain came, when the rain was not going to come, the track drying versus the intermediates. They started off on the intermediates. It was raining at the start of the race, and then it rained periodically throughout the race. But the racing line became dry pretty quickly. They ran like 15 laps in a safety car. So in reality, of the 57 laps that the race was supposed to be, we only really ran about close to like 39. The restarts were, Lando had some really good restarts at the start of the race. Lewis started 8th. He dropped back to 9th. He got passed by Albon in the Williams, who did really well. Unfortunately, Sainz crashed. But Albon and that Williams looks like they are the top of the midfield at this point. It's all so close, though. We're talking about tenths here. We're not talking about seconds, unless you're talking about Haas, which are really slow. Again, Kimi Antonelli looks like the real deal. Really good showing from the kid. Only guy that could actually pass or show that he could pass at that track in the conditions. He drove really well in the rain. It seemed to be a McLaren 1-2 for most of the race. Then the first bit of showers came, and after that first rain came, we got a green flag run, a pretty long one for the race that we had. And the racing line started to dry up a lot. The intermediates, 2, 3, 4 laps in, you saw people getting out of the racing line to go get water. Verstappen, Lando, George, everybody down the grid just trying to keep them wet because they were overheating. They were going to start to shred apart. Eventually, they did come in for slicks. Most people went on hards or mediums. Some people went on hards thinking that they could get them to optimum temperature because the hard tire looked like the best tire to be on through practice and stuff like that. But as soon as they put the slicks on, it didn't take but 3-4 laps. And the rain came again in short burst, but the burst was strong enough that it affected the handling of the cars, and you saw people slipping and sliding out of corners. And then eventually it got to the point where, being 1 and 2, Lando comes out of the second to last corner, or the third to last corner, gets into the gravel. Piastri, same thing, can't stop. They get into the gravel. Piastri tries to gather it back up, spins out into the grass, thinks that he's done, but then he starts reversing back as the track, as the race continues. He starts backing up and getting onto the racing surface again. But as this is happening, because Lando was slipping as well, Verstappen went into the pits from third, got intermediates, went back out. Before he went back out, though, he passed Lando, so he was one whole lap at the leader of the field. He passed Lando, then went into the pits, got intermediates, came back out, but Lando, being smart, when he spun out, while Piastri was spinning out, he went immediately into the pits to get intermediates. He put those on. He got back to the lead after. While it was still green, Piastri gets back on the road, gets his intermediates, starts going through the field again because everybody's still on slicks. Nobody's gone to pit yet. Behind Verstappen, Hamilton finds himself there on hards. But Ferrari makes a brutal mistake in strategy. Instead of pitting him just like Verstappen did, just like the same lap that he led, pit him, they waited one more lap, and unfortunately the safety car came after when he was on that lap. When the safety car comes, because Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, George Russell, almost half the field had already gone to pit. They came out 9th and 10th, Charles and Lewis, and that basically ruined their race. They possibly had a 1-2. Leclerc was leading with Lewis behind him, or Lewis was leading with Leclerc behind him for one lap, and instead of pitting, they stayed out and paid the consequences for it. So strategy blunder by Ferrari. Verstappen and Lando basically battle it out from there till the end. Verstappen got as close as 3/10 through DRS, but just couldn't make the pass stick. Lando had a good car, was racing it really nice, and showed the world that under pressure from the 4-time world champion, he could deliver, and he did. So shout out to McLaren on, starting off on the right foot of their Constructors' Championship defense, and Lando trying to chase after that elusive first championship. With Oscar behind him, although Oscar, because of the excursion he had, he only finished, 7th from a 1-2 that he had. something that happened between McLaren while it was raining. You could tell that Piastri was possibly faster than Lando, but the team orders were like, stay in your position, let the rain pass, and then you can race. By the time the rain passed and they told him that he could race, the tires were basically done, so he couldn't really attack. And then, guys that had a good race, George Russell had a good race, finished third. Kimi Antonelli, being smart, knowing how to race in the rain, finished fifth. So we had a crazy, crazy race. Albon finished, I believe, fourth in the Williams. So we had a crazy, crazy race, but it was fun. It was a fun race. It was late. Because of Hajar's crash, race started maybe like at 1:30 instead of 1 o'clock in the morning. So, but good race, good first race. We're on to China this week. Excited for that. Excited who comes out of that. If anybody has some tweaks that they're doing, if Lewis has a way to solve that car a little bit more. Lewis had a couple of instances with his engineer, since it's not Bono anymore. They don't know his tendencies. They kept asking him, hey, use the K1, use the DRS, and he said it. And then, Lewis being a 7-time world champion and knowing how to race these cars was a simple but stern answer. At the beginning, it's like, yo, just leave me to it. Let me learn the car. We learn as we go, as I drive. And then, but every so often, the engineer would be like, hey, use the K1, which is the kinetic energy, and the DRS. And he's like, it's too wet. When it's drier, I will, or when I'm too far away, when I'm closer, I'll do it. I know about the DRS. I know about the K1. Just leave me to it. You learn as you go, mate. So it seems like Lewis was a little frustrated with the fact that they just wouldn't let him drive the car and learn. This being his first race with Ferrari, it's kinks that you're going to have to go through. He was with the same race engineer for all his 7 championships. So, it's, or 6 of them, all the ones at Mercedes. And he was with them for like 12 or 15 years. So, excuse me. So, I think he'll figure that out, but I still feel confident that Lewis has the pace and can win a couple races and possibly go after the championship. Obviously not starting on the right foot, finishing 9th. But, I think it's going to get better. As for Charles, he looks comfortable in the car. He looks fast, but the car does not seem to be at its peak form right now. It could be track. It could be the car. It could be the conditions that they were in. It could be the tire. But, as the season goes on, this early part of the season, we will definitely find out what is up with Ferrari in comparison to the Mercedes, the McLaren, and the Red Bull. Liam Lawson crashed as well, so he is continuing the unfortunate bad luck with the second Red Bull car. I expect them to do better. But at the same time, the pressure of racing as the teammate of Max Verstappen is definitely real. We've seen it with Alex Albon. We've seen it with even Daniel Ricciardo in Verstappen's first 2 years. And now we're seeing it with Liam Lawson, and we saw it with Checo. So, it's definitely real racing, having him as a teammate in the same car, but not really tailored to you, tailored to the guy that is incredible behind the wheel, like a Michael Schumacher and a Lewis Hamilton and stuff like that, the greats. So that was a great Australian Grand Prix. Cannot wait for the rest of the season. China's next. And they start practicing for that tomorrow. So we'll see how the times are looking and stuff like that in China. Okay. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So Jamar Chase gets the biggest non-QB contract in the history of the NFL. 4 years, $165 million. I believe I have it right here, actually written down. Hold up. see here. Go to Twitter. Or X, as it's called. Let's see if it's here. I got it on my bookmarks. Here it is right here. So the Bengals agreed to a 4-year, $161 million extension with Jamar Chase and a 4-year, $115 million extension with T. Higgins. So Jamar gets $40.25 million, I believe, or something like 40.1. And then T gets 28 a year. This is the most any team has ever paid for a duo of receivers. But when you're trying to make Joe Burrow happy and keep him without, after saying publicly like, yo, he wants both of these guys back, find a way to make it happen. They make some moves. They sacrifice their defense, obviously. That when it comes to roster building, this is probably not the smartest move. Because you basically, between Joe Burrow, Jamar, and T. Higgins, you're basically over 40 to 45% of your cap is already tied up into 3 players, and you need to sign 53 of them. So, we'll see how they draft. The draft is going to be very, very important. Jamar has $40.25 million a year. That's just $250,000 above what Myles Garrett got at $40 million a year. So within the first 6 guys, non-QBs, AVV, which is basically annual value, how much you're getting paid annually. Jamar's at number 1 with $40.25 mil. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett's at $40 million. They gave him that record contract. Max Crosby's at $35.5 million. Justin Jefferson, $35 million. So remember when Justin Jefferson got his deal last year and he reset the wide receiver market? Well, I told you last year when that happened, I told you now Jamar Chase is probably going to get somewhere around 40. That's exactly what he got. I just knew that Jamar wanted to reset the market in a way where there was no doubt who was the best in the league. Then you have Nick Bosa at $34 million and then CeeDee Lamb at $34 million. Jamar and T. Higgins are $69 million together. $10 million higher than any wide receiver duo. The next one is Tyreek Hill and Jalen. They're at 58.3. And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are at $57 million. So really, really big commitment to those two. Do I believe that this could work? I think with these two, it can. I think you can score somewhere around 33 to 38 points a game like you were last year. The only thing is, and they brought back Gesicki. They might draft another running back. We'll see. They brought back Samaje Perine. They brought back Chase Brown. And then Zach Moss. So we'll see if they even draft another one. But they need to focus on the defensive side of the ball. They're still kind of trying to sign Trey Hendrickson. I don't know how much money that's going to command. You're talking about a guy who's had 17 sacks the last 2 years and led the league in sacks the past year with 17 and a half. So in my opinion, is it going to be very tough to sign him? Yes, because of how much he's going to be worth. But at the same time, you got to keep a defensive stalwart piece there. If not, you got to hit on your draft picks, and that is not easy unless you're like Howie Roseman. I mean, Andy Reid, even though I can't say Andy Reid because he drafted Kingsley Samayatea last year, and he was not the left tackle they needed. But for the most part, Andy Reid is really good at that. The Rams are really good at drafting. But the Bengals have to hit the draft like they did with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. They have to be that effective. Is it possible? Yes. However, to hit on 2 to 3 picks in the NFL draft in one draft is hitting a gold mine. And like I said, like if you're not one to be known to hit on draft picks, it's going to be tough. Historically, Bengals are not good at hitting on draft picks these past few years with Jamar Chase, which was a no-brainer, T. Higgins, which is a good draft pick, and Joe Burrow, which was a number 1 pick that was a no-brainer. Other than that, it's going to be tough, and they need offensive line help. They need D-line help. They need secondary help. So they need a lot of things. They have a lot of needs for a team that scores the amount of points that they do. But I think that they can figure it out because they got Joe Burrow, because they got T. Higgins, and because they have Jamar Chase. I think that is doable. Will it happen? I don't know, but it's definitely doable for them. Okay. So Josh Berry wins his first NASCAR race at Las Vegas. Pretty crazy race. You had SVG blow out 3 tires and basically give up on the day. Just didn't know what was going on. The right front just kept blowing up. It blew up on him 3 times. Josh Berry running for the Wood brothers, former junior motorsports driver that drove the number 8 in Xfinity for Dale Jr. these past 2 years. Gets his first ever win. He passes Daniel Suárez with around 15 laps to go. After a chaotic race with flat tires, some good strategy, some bad strategy. People were off on the tires. People were off on the fuel. So people were in different strategies because of what they decided to do. Excuse me. What they decided to do during the cautions and also during the pit stops. I feel really good for him. He deserves it. He's the only guy in the Woods Brothers team. It's a 1-car team. The oldest team in NASCAR, has been there from the beginning of NASCAR in the late 40s, I want to say early 50s. Las Vegas was a race to think that Kyle Busch possibly could win it, a Kyle Larson, a Chase Elliott. Kyle Larson was up there a lot, had the lead for a lot, but just couldn't get the restart right when he was close enough. Chase Elliott ran a good race. William Byron ran a good race. Denny Hamlin was having a good race. Logano was having a good race. But then, crashes, unforeseen circumstances with people like, crashes being caused by accordion effect of somebody lifting because they went 3 or 4 wide into turn 1. Crazy stuff. But for Josh Berry to win and to have last 15 laps past the leader Daniel Suárez and hold him off was very impressive. And I'm not only proud of him, I'm proud of the team. And I think that this win will possibly put him on the radar of big teams, whether that's Hendrick, Gibbs, Trackhouse, front row. I think this win really does a lot for you when it comes to sponsorships and stuff like that. So I'm really proud of him. Really good driver. Can drive anything. Can drive on the road courses. Can drive in the ovals. And he was the lucky one at the tri-oval that is Las Vegas. The one that the one they call the Lady in Black, because in Las Vegas, so Lady Luck. But good for him. Good for Josh Berry. So Shohei and the Dodgers kick off the season at the Tokyo Dome. Game 2 was today. Roki Sasaki pitched. Let me look up those stats. Shohei leaves off. Kicks off his second campaign as a Dodger with a great 2-for-4 showing with a run yesterday, and then today He hits his first home run of the season. As expected, this guy doesn't stop. It's incredible to see that, one, the Dodgers are stacked, but that this doesn't stop. Tommy John, no Tommy John, like it is still Shohei. The Dodgers won 6-3 today. Yesterday was 5-1 or 6-1, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, they won 4-1 yesterday with Yamamoto on the mound. Yamamoto had a pretty good showing. Allowed 1 run, but he had 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 Ks. So, starting off with a 1.8 ERA is pretty good. Once the Cubs took out Shota Imanaga, he had 4 innings of hitless baseball, 2 Ks, 4 base on balls. His pitch count was kind of getting up there, but it was no need to pull him. As soon as they pull him, Dodgers jump on Ben Brown, the second year player. They jump on him. Then they jump on Morgan for a run. They jump on Ben Brown for 2 runs. Morgan gets out of his inning in a third, and then Ryan Brazier, he gets another run hit on him. So 4-1. Dodgers look great. Their lineup did pretty well, all things considered. Ohtani went 2 for 2 with a K. Tommy Edman went 1 for 1. Teoscar went 1 for 1. Will Smith went 1 for 1. No Freeman, late scratch, no Mookie, and they still got it done. So absolutely no problem for the Dodgers. As for the Cubs, we saw the first. Oh, and Tanner Scott got his first save as a Dodger as well. For the Cubs, we saw Kyle Tucker for the first time. He had 4 at-bats, and he went 0 for 4. With no Ks, just 0 for 4. Which is weird. No Ks, no walks. How'd he get out? That's interesting. Probably pop outs and ground outs. Yeah, that's most likely it. Michael Busch, same thing. Justin Turner had 1 at bat as a pinch hitter. Matt Shaw, the young kid, he went 4 at bats and had 2 Ks. Dansby Swanson went 1 for 1 with a K. Or 1 for 3 and a K. Ian Happ went 1 for 3 and a K and a base on balls. Pete Crow Armstrong went 0-3 with a K. And then, Shota did a good job, but then Ben Brown got the loss as well. He got that loss hanged on him. It was a good showing by Shota and Yamamoto. I think that'll be better. There will be better showings by both of them. But it was a good showing for the first game of the season. Then in the second game today, you had they won 6-3, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth. So by the 5th inning, this was a 6-3 game, and 6, 7, 8, 9, nothing happened. That means that bullpen just went up and shut down. Ohtani goes 1 for 3 with a homer and two walks. Edman goes 1 for 5, 2 Ks, and a home run. Teoscar goes 0 for 4. Will Smith goes 2 for 2. No, wait. 1 for 2. Max Muncy goes 1 for 4. Kike goes 1 for 3. Kike also hit a home run. So Kike, Tommy, and Shohei hit home runs. Conforto went 0 for 3. Miguel Rojas went 0 for 3. And Andy Pajes went 0 for 3, but they all got 1 walk. So as long as they walk, they can score. 6-3. Roki did three innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 earned. I'm guessing it was a home run. He got 3 Ks. His strikeout percentage was 56 out of 25. Or pitches to strikes. So he threw 56 pitches, 25 were strikes. So some were a little bit below 40%. Were strikes. Then you had Landon Knack, which was the actual winning pitcher. He's pitched 2 innings, had 3 Ks. And then Vesia ended the day. I think the Dodgers is going to be a par for the course. I think you're going to see them score 5 or more runs a lot. I think you're going to see them hold teams to under 3 runs a lot. I think it's just par for the course this year. They have to pace themselves, though, not because of injuries and stuff like that, but just because like they know that they have such a good squad that, you know, possibly they can throw out there their 6th or 7th starter and still get a win while resting a Yamamoto or a Sasaki when needed, or a Glasnow, Kershaw, Gonsolin, Trevor May. So, you know, I think Snell, even though he likes to eat innings. Next guy that I want to see is Glasnow from the injury. Snell, I want to see him in a full game. Would love to see Trevor May after the injury, Gonsolin after the injury, see how they're doing, see how Bobby Miller's doing after his rookie year, Gavin Stone, see how he's doing. So I'm very excited for the Dodgers. The next game is the 23rd of March is when the season actually starts for everybody. So, but the Dodgers are 2-0. And what an ovation for Shohei, for Yamamoto, for Shota, for Roki. Absolutely incredible atmosphere. And that is what we're in store for the rest of the season. Other than that, now we get to NCAA basketball. The first 4 are today, 6:40, Mount St. Mary's versus American, 216 seeds. American is a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going to go with American. I haven't watched a lot of college basketball this year. And then you have Xavier in Texas, really good schools. Xavier's a 3.5-point favorite. That's at 9:10 tonight on True TV. 21-11 Xavier versus 19-15 Texas. I believe I think I'm going to go with Texas. And the only reason why I'm going with Texas is because they are in the SEC. And the SEC got 14 teams in, which is a record. So I'm going to go with Texas. They faced the better competition throughout the year. They haven't been particularly good against them, 9-11. But because they face that type of competition, I think that they're going to get it on Xavier. So then the bracket itself is in the South region. You have Auburn number 1 versus Alabama State. Auburn's going to obviously move on. Louisville Creighton, interesting game. I think I'm going to pick Louisville is the higher seed. It's 8-9. Louisville's a 2.5-point favorite. I think I'm going Louisville. Michigan, UC San Diego, I'm going Michigan, the 5th seed. Texas A&M, Yale, I'm going Texas A&M, even though Yale beat, it was Brown, I believe, that they beat, or Harvard beat them to get into the show or something like that for the conference title. So I'm going to take Texas A&M there. They're a 7.5-point favorite. North Carolina won in the first 4 out yesterday by like 27 versus San Diego State. So I'm gonna go Ole Miss though. Ole Miss is in the SEC, one of those SEC teams, just like Texas A&M, and Auburn. So I'm gonna go Ole Miss, even though UNC is a 1.5-point favorite against the 6th seed Ole Miss. Iowa State Lipscomb, we're going with the Cyclones. They're the 3 seed. 14.5-point spread is crazy. Marquette versus New Mexico. I'm going with Marquette, the 7th seed over the 10th seed New Mexico. 3.5 point spread there for Marquette. The Sparty, the Michigan State, is going to go versus Bryant. They're an 18.5 point favorite. Is Sparty. I'm going to go with Tom Izzo there. They're the number 2 seed. In the West, Florida is the number 1 seed. Of course, I'm a Gator against Norfolk State. They're 28.5 point favorite. I have them as my champions. I'm just going to tell you right now, I think Florida is going to win it all. So Norfolk State is going to get knocked out. Then we have the 8-9 matchup, Oklahoma versus UConn. UConn having a 5.5 point margin there. It's tough. Oklahoma being an SEC team now. But I think I'm going with the Huskies there. I'm going with UConn over Oklahoma. Then we got Memphis, the 5th seed, versus Colorado State. Colorado State is a 1.5 point favorite over Memphis. So people think that this might be, Vegas thinks that this might be an upset here. I'm going to go Colorado State. I'll go Colorado State. Let me see here. Let me see if I could fill out my bracket with you guys here. See if I could do that. Here we go. Okay, so we go Auburn. We're going Louisville, Michigan, Texas A&M, Ole Miss. You know what? I'm going to go with UNC giving Ole Miss the slip. UNC's been there before. They have history there. That might be an 11 seed, but I think North Carolina could do something. Iowa State, we're going to go with Marquette. We're going to go Michigan State. We're going to go Florida. We're going to go with UConn. Memphis, Colorado State, I'm going with Colorado State. Maryland, Grand Canyon, I'm going with Maryland, the 4 seed. Missouri versus Drake. The spread is Missouri 6.5. I'm going to go with Missouri. Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington. We're going Texas Tech. Kansas versus Arkansas. Bill Self versus John Calipari. I believe here the spread is Kansas minus 4.5. But I like this Arkansas team. They're an SEC team as well. I'm going to go with Arkansas in that game with John Calipari versus Bill Self. St. John's versus Omaha, the 2 seed. I'm going to go with St. John's and Rick Pitino. We got Duke in the East, number 1 seed against Amir MCM. They're going to destroy them. So I'm going to go Duke there. No Cooper Flag playing just yet. Might play in the round of 32. We shall see. Baylor, Mississippi State. 1.5 point spread for Mississippi State. Man. Yeah, I'm going to go Mississippi State, another SEC team of those 14. Oregon versus Liberty, we're going Oregon. Arizona versus Akron, we're going Arizona. BYU versus VCU, we're going with the 3-point snipers that are BYU. They chuck threes like it's nothing. Wisconsin, Montana, we're going Wisconsin. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt, 7 versus 10. St. Mary's a 3.5 point favorite. That's what we're going with. Bama versus Robert Morris. We're going Bama. Houston versus... Who is that? Southern Illinois? Who is that? No. I didn't want to do that. Who is this? Cougars. Is that Southern Illinois? All right, guys. I don't know. It might be Southern Illinois or Southern Indiana University, Edwardsville. I don't know who it was, but it's SIEU is who they are. Trying to find out their full name here, but they don't have it. So Houston's the number 1 seed. I'm going to go with them. Their defense, their rebounding, they just beat you up. I'm going to go with Houston. Then we got 8 and 9 Gonzaga versus Georgia. This is the Midwest region now. Houston's the number 1 seed. Gonzaga versus Georgia. I think I'm going to go Gonzaga, even though Georgia's in the SEC. Gonzaga is a 6.5-point favorite. I'm going to go Gonzaga. Clemson versus McNeese. We're going Clemson, the 5th seed. Purdue versus High Point. We're going Purdue. Illinois, Texas Xavier. We're going Illinois, the 6th seed. Kentucky versus Troy. We're going University of Kentucky. UCLA, Utah State. I'm going UCLA. And Tennessee, Wofford. We're going Tennessee. We go to the round of 32. Auburn versus Louisville. We're going Auburn, the 1 seed. Michigan versus Texas A&M. Michigan got in on no, didn't get in. I think they were going to get in anyway, but they won on a last-second shot in the Big Ten tournament. They give Michigan 51% the odds to win, so I'm going to go with Michigan over Texas A&M. North Carolina, Iowa State, the 11 versus the 3 seed. It's a 67% chance that Iowa State wins. I'm going to go with Iowa State. I think that they're the better team. Marquette, Michigan State, 7 versus 2. Sparty has a 72% chance to win, so I'm going to go with Sparty. I think that they have Tom Izzo has a really good team this year. Florida, UConn, we're going Florida. Colorado State, Maryland. Maryland, 74% chance to win. So I'm going to go Maryland there. Missouri, Texas Tech, the 6 versus the 3 seed. They're saying Texas Tech, 65% to 35%. We're going Texas Tech there. Arkansas, St. John's, the 10 versus the 2 seed. This is Rick Pitino, the legend, 2 legends, John Calipari versus Rick Pitino. They give the Johnnies, the St. John Storm, 63% chance to win versus Arkansas. I think I'm gonna go with St. John's. I think Pitino has that team playing really, really well. Duke versus Mississippi State. We're going Duke, possibly with Cooper Flag back. Number 5 versus number 4, Arizona versus Oregon. It is a 66% chance that Arizona wins. I'm going to go with Arizona. BYU, Wisconsin. I like BYU. They're giving them a 45% chance to a 55% chance of Wisconsin winning. I think BYU can sink a bunch of threes. I'm going to go with BYU. St. Mary's, Alabama. We're going Alabama. Houston versus Gonzaga. We're going Houston. Let's see what the predictors like. Yeah, Houston has a 72% chance to win. Clemson, Purdue, the 5 and 4 matchup. They're giving Clemson the benefit of the doubt over Purdue. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go Clemson. Illinois, Kentucky. This is a really tough one because these are really 2 good teams. It's a 51-49 split. And when it's like that, especially with Kentucky, I'm going to go with Kentucky. UCLA, Tennessee. I want to go Tennessee here. The predictor says 75 to 25% Tennessee. So I'm gonna go with Tennessee there. Now the Sweet 16 is Auburn versus Michigan. I got Auburn. Iowa State, Michigan State. 57% Sparty to a 43% Cyclones. I'm going to go with Sparty there. Florida, Maryland, we're going with Florida. Texas Tech, St. John's. 56% Texas Tech to St. John's, 44%. The 2 versus the 3 seed. These are 2 really good teams. I'm going to go with St. John's. I just like Rick Pitino as a coach. I think that he has those boys playing hard. So I'm going to go with St. John's. I'm going to go Duke because against Arizona, the 1 versus 4, I think Duke is going to make it to the championship. It's going to be Duke versus Florida. I got Florida winning that. BYU, Alabama, 6 versus the 2. Alabama has a 71% chance to win, so we're going with Bama there. Houston versus Clemson. I'm gonna pick Houston here. They're giving them a 76% chance to advance. So I'm going to go Houston. And then Kentucky versus Tennessee. This might be where Kentucky gets knocked out. Yeah, Tennessee's a 68% chance to win. So I'm going to go Tennessee here. Elite Eight. I'm still going Auburn over Sparty. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go Auburn, 68% chance to win. I'm going to go Florida over St. John's. Florida's a 76% chance to win. Duke versus Alabama. This should be 69% chance to win. I'm going to go Duke. And then Houston, Tennessee. This could be a little closer. 62% chance to win versus Tennessee. 38% chance for Tennessee. I'm going to go Houston. So all the number ones went through. This is probably not going to happen. But this is how I feel just based on how the teams are playing, to be honest. And it's going to be Auburn versus Florida, an SEC matchup. 51 to 49%. They give the edge to Auburn, but I'm going to go with my Gators. And then Duke, Houston, offense versus defense. They're giving Duke a 54% chance to win. Of course, with Cooper Flag, I'm going to go them. Then I'm going Florida over Duke. They have Duke winning 53% to 47%, but I believe in Florida and that long lineup. Total points in this game will probably be somewhere around 115. No, I'm going to say 119. The 120 is... No, 120 is 60 plus 60. So let's say one gets to 87. The other one gets to... Let's say it's like 89 to 86. 89 to 86. 80 plus 80 is 160. 16. 170. 176, I'm going to say, is the total score. 176 there. And that's it. That's my bracket. I got Florida winning. I'm a Florida diehard. We're number one seed. We have probably the best team in the country besides Duke. So I'm going to go with Florida. And yeah, I got Florida. I got the number one seeds going all the way, which is probably not going to happen, but I got Florida to cut down the nets on April 7th. Other than that, guys, let's see if anything has happened at the Big 12. Pro Day. Anything has happened? Let's see. Devin Duvernay signing with the Bears, 1-year deal. Stephen A has Michigan State, Duke, Houston, Florida. That's his Final Four. Okay, so I'm one off of his. And then for the women's, he has UCLA, South Carolina, Notre Dame, and USC. He really likes USC. Really likes Juju. Doesn't have UConn, so not showing love to Paige Beckers there. Cam Robinson, the offensive tackle, signing with the Texans. Commanders are guaranteeing Debo $17 million of Debo's previously non-guaranteed salary for this season, along with adding another $3 million worth of incentives. Remember, it's a 1-year deal. Jack Gibbons on a 1-year deal with the Patriots, the linebacker. Akilo Witherspoon gets a 1-year deal from the Rams, the cornerback. And pitching matchups got announced for opening day. Let's run through this real quick. We got Freddie Peralta versus Carlos Rodon. So fastball Freddie versus Carlos Rodon. Brewers versus Yankees at Yankee Stadium. We have Zach Eflin versus Jose Barrios. Weird that the Orioles don't have Grayson Rodriguez. Grayson Rodriguez starting. That's interesting to me. They send out Zach Eflin, the veteran out there. Jose Barrios, La Máquina, for the Blue Jays. That's in Toronto. Then we have Garrett Crochet versus Nathan Eovaldi. Really good matchup there in Texas. Boston Red Sox versus Texas. Then we have Clay Holmes making his Mets debut versus Framber Valdez in Houston. Yusei Kikuchi making his Angels debut versus Sean Burke in Chicago for the White Sox. And then Luis Severino making his A's debut versus Logan Gilbert in Seattle. That's one slate. The next slate is you got Zach Wheeler versus Mackenzie Gore in Washington. Philly versus Washington. We have Logan Webb going against Hunter Green in Cincinnati. Giants versus Cincinnati. Chris Sale versus Michael King. Really good matchup there. Logan Webb and Hunter Green is a really good matchup as well. I think Zach Wheeler, Mackenzie Gore could be a really good matchup. Chris Sale off his Cy Young winning season versus Michael King, San Diego. Versus Atlanta in San Diego. Then we got Paul Skeens versus Sandy Alcantara. So two really good matchups there. It's here in Miami. That's a really good game to go to if you guys want to show up. Paul Skeens versus Sandy Alcantara, especially Sandy being back to his 100% self. We have Pablo versus Sonny Gray, Twins versus St. Louis in St. Louis. Pablo Lopez for the Twins. Kyle Freeland versus Shane McClanahan making his return after Tommy John surgery for Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. Not in their actual stadium, in the high school stadium, I believe, or the college stadium. But in Tampa Bay versus Kyle Freeland, the Rockies. So very, very good slate. Good matchups there. Pretty good matchups there. I think that's all of them. Let me just check. Yeah, that's all of them. Really good matchups there. I think Garrett Crochet, Nathan Eovaldi is probably the best matchup, along with, I want to say the next one that I would put up there would probably be Chris Sale versus Michael King and Skeens versus Alcantara, I think, are my top three, although Logan Webb, Hunter Green is really good. Wheeler versus Gore, I think, is really good. Lopez versus Sonny Gray. I mean, it's A1 across the board here. Garrett Crochet versus Eovaldi, though, I think is the most interesting matchup for me. Although I like Paul Skeens and Sandy. I think it has the possibility to be a really good game. But yeah, guys, that's about it. Nothing has come out from Big 12 Pro Day. So I guess we'll talk about that when I come back from my hiatus. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. God bless you guys. Stay safe. And I leave you all with the outro.